Saturday, Sabbath, the day of rest. Join me as I imagine myself in Jerusalem. Jesus died yesterday. They laid him in a tomb last night. The disciples have gone into hiding, and the city is much quieter than yesterday. As the disciples process the events from the past 6 days, each follower is probably wrestling with where Jesus finished his ministry. They saw him die yesterday, and now they grapple with what they actually believe about him. As we imagine what it must have been like, their reality is he's dead. We have the benefit of more than 2,000 years of hindsight, a church that has endured through the ages, and the modern archaeological discoveries that prove that he is the person that he said he declared he was. But the disciples on Saturday only had the stark reality that they had seen him die on the cross, and some of them had watched him be laid in a tomb, the stone rolled over it to keep them from stealing his body. I imagine that Saturday was a day that could be defined as the dark night of the soul. Shock, disbelief, fear. I mean, come on, they saw the finality with their own eyes. The despair from a human perspective had to be crushing. Saturday had to have been a very dark day. Meanwhile, in the spiritual realm, things were happening that the disciples could not have imagined, even if they were the most creative thinkers on earth. In his book, What If It's True?, Charles Martin paints a word picture that has rocked me for years. I want to share a condensed version of his depiction regarding what was happening as the disciples surely reeled with disappointment and confusion. By the time they took down the body, Jesus' spirit was long gone. The moment he died, his work wasn't over. Jesus' spirit climbed down off of that cross and, clothed in the sin of all humanity, he descended into hell, where there was a party underway unlike any seen in the history of this world or any other. Jesus descends and walks through the gates of hell, where demons and spiritual forces of wickedness throw blood-stained metal and bronze and run out of the crowd and punch him or stab him with swords or whip him or thrust spears completely through him. The road he's walking on is littered with bones and maggots and rotting flesh. The pandemonium rises as he approaches the throne where Satan has placed himself. The raucous party is at a climax. The noise is deafening. The stench is nauseating. The evil horde has created a mosh pit, and they are foaming at the mouth because they think that they are about to feast on the body and blood of Jesus the Christ. The only one not enjoying the party is Satan. He knows the prophecies. He knows the word. Satan is not happy. In truth, he's squirming. He's been dreading this day. Trying to find a way out, his eyes are frantic. He's looking for a way out because he knows that he is about to be as exposed as the fraud that he is. Jesus walks down the road to Satan's court. Everything evil is in attendance and salivating at the coming final blow, which they think will eradicate Jesus once and for all. Total, universal, otherworldly domination. But a funny thing happens here. It is here, in the pit of hell, that Jesus strips off the sin of humanity that has masked him. Like a dark blanket or a cloak, he rips it off his shoulders and hurls it like Halley's Comet at the skeletal throne that's comprised of skulls and vertebrae where Satan has parked himself. The light shoots forth from Jesus' body and darkness rolls back like a scroll. Demons screech and writhe. Party's over. Satan turns cowering. He's defeated, powerless, dethroned, destroyed, disarmed, exposed as a punk whose kingdom is crumbling all around. Jesus, the Word made flesh, who upholds all things by the word of his power, says, "Stop." And Lucifer can't move. He knows what Jesus came to get. Jesus lifts the keys dangling on Lucifer's belt. "I'll take those." And then he places his heel on Satan's neck and speaks for all eternity to hear. All of this universe and every other can hear and see what his proclamation is. The thundering voice sounds like many rushing waters. Jesus is ruling in the midst of his enemies who have been made his footstool. The Lion of Judah roars. All debts are paid. All past, present, and future claims are canceled forever. I have bought humanity back with my blood. Sin no longer has dominion. My children are no longer under law, but under grace. Face down, Satan lies in excruciating pain. He writhes as Jesus' foot presses his mouth into the maggot-filled dirt of hell. Satan rises a finger. But what about the sinners in Arvada, Colorado? Jesus nods and considers those sinners, and then he squeezes his hand like a sponge. Given the whole, it should have produced blood, at least a drop, but there was none, not one single drop. Nope. Satan protests, but what about those things that they did? Another squeeze of Jesus' hand. Nothing. Evidence that on the cross, Jesus held nothing back. The hole in his hand is dry, veins empty. He bled out and declared us paid in full. He says to Satan, your claims are revoked. Jesus, dangling the keys, makes one final declaration. Be it known this day, all is forgiven. I have redeemed humanity with my blood on the altar. It is finished. Upon hearing the words of Jesus, the foundations of hell crack and crumble. Satan's throne crumbles. This is the moment which Jesus has made good on his promise. This is the moment when you who were once far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ. Satan's defeat was absolute. The victory complete. As Jesus walks out of hell, he exits through the prison of cells where his people have been held in bondage and slavery. Every form of addiction, every sin. And as he walks by, every lock clicks, shackles fall off, gates of bronze are ripped off their hinges, bars of iron cut in two. Prisoners, long held captive, begin screaming at the top of their lungs, freedom! And worthy is the Lamb that was slain, worthy to receive honor and glory and praise. Charles's description brings elation to my heart. Do you know why? Because I know the end of the story. The disciples were spending their day wondering what was next. Jesus was spending Saturday taking back our freedom. The disciples didn't know it, but Sunday was coming.